Hi, I am here with Kimberly Layne. Kimberly, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Kimberly is Director of Integrative Medicine and an acupuncturist at the Samaritan Center. And Kimberly, you have gone through both of our programs, our foundational program and our advanced program. And I'm just so excited to share with people what you got out of the program and how it's made a difference in your life. So if you could tell me about, or tell the people that are listening to this, how was it before you took our resilience programs?
Well, I was definitely very busy. I took on a lot of different projects. I wore many hats. The Samaritan Center is a nonprofit organization, and I volunteered for a lot of things and typically took on way more uh, than anyone reasonably had time to finish, on top of maintaining a very full patient load. And so I had plenty of times when I thought to myself that I could probably work 24/7 nonstop and still not be caught up, never be caught up. It felt like the mountain of work was always going to be there because on top of the administrative responsibilities that I had taken on, I had patients all the time. And that the paperwork associated with seeing patients is pretty much never ending.
Which I think
So,
a lot of executives feel that way when you're in that kind of leadership role. It's just like, when is it going to end? When's it going to stop? Am I ever going to catch up?
right. And working for a nonprofit too, we're constantly chasing dollars and funding, and different grantors expect different things, different deliverables in exchange for the funding. And so there's a lot to do in a management position, and then also in a clinical position at a nonprofit organization. So uh, yeah, I was drowning. And
So constantly overwhelmed and feeling that pressure of being overwhelmed.
oh yeah, and then how that shows up too. So I had plenty of nights where I didn't get to bed until really late, and then even once I got to bed, I would still not sleep very well because I was waking up thinking about all the stuff that I needed to get done or that I had forgotten to do. And then on top of that, I was extremely irritable. And I unfortunately, over the course of a couple of years, gained a bit of a reputation for being very short-tempered among my colleagues, and then some of the front office people. So everything just felt like an imposition to me, and
Well,
I never felt like I
and
never
I
felt like I could have fun. Honestly, I felt like I was always working, and even when somebody would ask me to go do something fun, I'd feel exasperated. So,
and I can imagine too, in your position as a director, they say the top 10 leadership skill of 2019 is emotional intelligence. And so being on edge, did that affect your teams and the people that were reporting to you and your colleagues? I mean, it probably had an impact on them as well.
I definitely did because I was reactive and impatient, and I'm sure I was just a joy to deal with.
Well, you look pretty calm now.
I feel calm.
So yeah, thanks for, I'm sure a lot of people can identify with what you're saying. And, I too was in a very similar situation, wasn't sleeping well, didn't feel good. It was like the downward spiral that kept going, right? And until you can stop it. So I know a lot of people resort to unhealthy habits when they're feeling that stress and they feel guilty afterwards.
Mhm.
So tell us a little bit about what's your life like now after going through the program. And you went through the 8 week total of 8 weeks
Mhm.
in the program. What's your life like now?
It is so different. I can't believe it, really, because prior to even the first course, for 3 years, I had been telling the people around me that I was going to quit my job, that I felt stuck, that I definitely had slipped into some despair. and I really just didn't see a way out. I've been at this organization for 7 years, and I didn't see a way out. I thought I was just going to kind of be stuck here. And so even after the first course, I started to get more, I don't know how to describe it, I just became more efficient. So it was as if time expanded somehow. And I know that's not what happened, but I think because I was better able to regulate myself, I was not automatically volunteering for things and taking on more than I could reasonably do. So that was happening. So I did have more time as a result of that.
So when you say regulate yourself, there might be some people out there saying, well, what does she mean regulate herself? You want to dive a little bit more into that?
Sure. So I can just give an example. So my impulse is to say yes, or to if someone asks me to do something that they could probably do themselves, or to volunteer for things where it seems as though there's no one else who's willing or wanting to do it, even though it's not in my job description, I would still volunteer to do it. And then also there's a little bit of a control, issue for me. So I feel as though if I want it to be done right, then I better be the one to do it. And so overcommitting was an impulse of mine. And as a result of getting more aware of myself and my triggers for stress, I would say I stopped indulging that impulse. I would feel the impulse come up, and I would not, I would sit with it, and I would breathe through it and allow it to go. And it's very interesting what's happened. Then other people, it creates space for other people to step up and either do the job that they're supposed to be doing, or maybe bring in a fresh perspective or their own expertise that I didn't even realize they had. So
it sounds like you got a lot of self-awareness of what was happening inside of you. And instead of being reactive, you were responsive, and you could stop the impulse, make a new choice, and allow that space to happen.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I would say another thing that I learned how to regulate was I and another colleague tended to push each other's buttons in our management meetings, and I would go on the defensive and feel like I needed to explain myself. And there was one particular instance where I knew I had made a big change, and that was I could feel that dynamic starting to unfold, and rather than react and allow my buttons to be pushed, I stopped and breathed through the moment. And it was as if like my vision expanded, and I could see a lot more clearly what was going on. And I realized in that moment, there was nothing that I could say that was going to help the situation. There was no reason for me to defend myself. I needed to just sit with it and allow it to be what it was, as opposed to jumping in and getting in the fray. And it diffused the situation. And at the end of the meeting, I felt this elevating of my energy, basically, where I felt really good. I felt as though I had conquered something in myself, and I had all this energy. Whereas in the past, I would walk out of one of those meetings and I would be ruminating and regretting. I'd be ruminating over what I said, regretting what I had said and how I'd handled myself. And instead, I didn't have that when I left that meeting, and it was awesome.
And what would have happened to your energy the rest of the day had you left that meeting and ruminated about what happened and got into that inner critic and that dialogue inside? What would have happened had you not stopped that? Would you felt depleted the rest of the day?
My energy would have been down, and I would have absolutely been mentally distracted and it would have been harder for me to focus on what I really needed to get done that day. And instead, it was like this wind of energy came through, and I was able to focus, and yeah, since we started this work, I don't take my computer home with me anymore. I don't have to do that. I finish everything before I leave the office, which truly feels miraculous because I was always taking my computer home. Oh, like that was just what I thought the norm was going to be for me. So, because I didn't believe there was enough time to complete all the work. And in actuality, there was enough time and more than enough time. So now I have all these ideas that I thought I'd lost my creativity. And now it's like I get ideas all the time. I'm so grateful that my brain still works.
In a whole new way. It's like you're getting younger.
It kind of feels that way. Yeah.
Reversing. And I think that's really neat, the way that you sum that up about really getting more time back. It's like time slows down because when we're in those renewing emotions and feeling confident and happy and at ease, it affects our body.
Yeah.
And when we're in those heavy emotions like regret or anger, it weighs us down. And that's when we end up getting headaches and having all these things happen inside our physiology, which you well know being an acupuncturist.
Oh, yeah.
How has it changed having this work and being able to be centered and focused the way you are now? How has it changed in helping your patients? Does that translate into what you do with them?
Yeah, it absolutely has. There have been times in the past when I've been, I guess, in such a state of overwhelm that it's been difficult for me to really see my patients and to see, like, really diagnose what's going on, and then on top of that, come up with an acupuncture point protocol or an herbal formula that might help them. And yeah, now that you ask me that, I have definitely noticed that I feel way more attuned. I feel as though I'm much better at diagnosing and treating my patients. There's no doubt.
You know, it's interesting because in this work, we talk a lot about when we get in that heart-centered space, our creativity enhances. What I also find too is my intuition is off the charts when I can stay in there. When you talk about prescribing the right herbs and the medicine, you do the diagnosis, but you're doing the diagnosis from a medical or Eastern philosophy standpoint while bringing your heart and intuition in as a healer. So I can imagine that in your profession with your patients, that this has brought that level of connection even deeper between you and your patients.
It really has. It
Yeah,
has.
beautiful.
Um,
Beautiful.
yeah, I actually just, this is really kind of cool, but we did a client survey at the organization, and we're just assessing client satisfaction and how we might improve and do things differently and meet their needs. And we got a lot of client feedback on the survey, and I was just, our office or operations manager just shared the feedback with the management team. And there were several very complimentary things about me and about my ability to connect with my patients. And that's kind of, in the past, I don't think that would have happened because I was running around with my hair on fire and I was not really available to them in the way that I am now. So yeah, that it's absolutely impacted my relationships. I mean, my relationship with it's impacted all of my relationships really, but
That's
yeah.
fantastic. You know, I find too in doing this work and working with a lot of clients that when we're in that state of overwhelm or that state of anxiety or whatever it may be, that our bodies get used to it and it's almost an addiction. And we get addicted to that feeling. And I know for me, what used to happen is I used to say I love deadlines because I knew I would have to get something done in a certain amount of time because it would start to get that anxiety going in my body and I would feel that nervousness, but it was familiar to me. and I got addicted to it because it was kind of an adrenaline rush.
Oh yeah.
And so it sounds like what you've done is you've literally interrupted that pattern of overwhelm, interrupted that pattern of just go, 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 rewired from the inside out. And now you're showing up different. People are connecting to you in a different way. They're feeling more close to you. And then they're giving answers on surveys to say how connected they are with you.
Yeah.
So really amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it has. It's definitely changed my life. And I've been able to make room for other projects. I mean, I'm not just working for the Samaritan Center anymore. I'm doing copywriting projects and editing, and I'm learning technology for creating online courses. And so, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot more bandwidth these days than I had.
And Kimberly, you're very lit up. Your energy is just really big and very clear, and you look very happy and at peace.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing part of your journey. And if there's one, and I think your dog wants to say hello too.
Yeah, it's time for dinner.
Letting you know. If there's one big takeaway that you would like to share with the audience, what would that one big takeaway, that golden nugget be?
Oh gosh. What is the golden nugget? There are just so many. So this has definitely brought me to my center and allowed me to practicing with the inner balance, practicing the heart focused breathing, even when I'm not connected to the inner balance. I am noticing that I have a much better sense of my center and of myself, and I'm much more at peace and much more comfortable saying no, because I'm much more clear about really like who I am and what I really want. So this is, I mean, this is big. It's both macro and micro. It's very, very big picture in my life too. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing. Thanks for being here and sharing your story, and great to see you and have you in our courses and being part of the community as well.
Thanks so much, Julie. Likewise. Thank you for all that you've done for me. I really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yes, absolutely. All right.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.